Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Shola's Mentorship Blueprint Podcast, the space where we grow, learn, unlearn, and lead with sincerity. My name is Olushola Odubanjo, registered nurse, chartered manager, mentor, and your host. And if this is your first time of tuning in, this is not just your typical leadership podcast. This is a space for emerging and involving leaders to dig deep, show up authentically, and lead without losing who they are. Now, in today's episode, I'll be honest, it might make you laugh a bit, reflect a lot, and maybe even uncomfortable, because we're diving into something that too many people avoid talking about in leadership: emotional intelligence. The leadership skill no one can afford to ignore. Now, let's start with a quick story. This is a true one. I once had a friend who landed her first job out of uni. She was so excited, hopeful, and a bit nervous. We've all been there. She joined a team led by a manager who was so brilliant. He delivered. He was so smart. No doubt, he was producing results. But emotionally, it was zero connection. He never smiled. He never said, "Well done." His email felt like a court order. When he gives feedback, it was delivered as if they were having like a military briefing. My friend didn't last 6 months. She called me one day and she said, "I'm going to leave." Not because she couldn't handle the job, but because she couldn't thrive under someone who lacked emotional intelligence. Also, I sometimes, hear managers or team leaders say, "We're not here to make friends. We're here to get things done." Now, as much as we are at work to get things done, at least make the working environment friendly. Anytime I hear this line, I sometimes wonder why some leaders will say such. Because honestly, that mindset is why so many leaders fail quietly and slowly. So, what is really emotional intelligence? What is it? Let's simplify it. Emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize your own emotions, understanding the emotions of others, managing your own reaction, communicating with empathy, respond instead of just reacting. Now, emotional intelligence, it's not soft or fluffy, it's not extra, it's actually essential. So, as much as you may have had the knowledge or you've been able to demonstrate a skill during your interview and you got hired for a job, emotional intelligence is what makes people want to stay around you. Now, for the emerging leaders, this part is for you. What emerging leaders get wrong? Now, this is a real talk here. When we're starting out in leadership, it's easy to model what you've seen. And unfortunately, a lot of what you've seen is robotic leadership, or maybe results over relationship, power games, acting tough instead of being strong. And I get it. You don't want to be seen as someone that is too nice or too soft. But here's the reality. People just don't quit jobs. They quit emotionally unavailable leaders. I will repeat that again. People just don't quit jobs. They quit emotionally unavailable leaders. Now, you can have all the strategy in the world, but if people don't feel safe, seen, or supported under your leadership, they will leave. Or worst case scenario, they will stay and slowly disengage. Now, can I just pause and say, have you ever had a manager who made you feel like They are actually allergic to joy. I mean, allergic to joy. I would love to have seen your facial reaction. Like, literally, they walk past your desk and you have to hold your breath. If that's ever been you, I'm so sorry you've had to feel that way. But I hope it's made you vow never to lead that way. Now, ways to lead with emotional intelligence. Let's get practical a bit here. I've got 5 simple but powerful ways to lead with emotional intelligence. 1. Self-awareness is step 1. Pay attention to your emotional triggers. Ask yourself, why did I feel so irritated just now? 2. Respond, don't react. Now, when someone brings like a bad news or someone just says something that irritates you, you need to pause first. Don't explode. Don't shut down. Just take a breath. And then you speak. Name and validate emotions. You can say, I can see you're so frustrated. Let's talk about it. Now, these words of yours builds bridges. They actually build bridges, not walls. Be curious, not critical. That's the 4th one. If a team member is off, just don't assume. Just don't say, well, I can't be bothered. I've got my own issues also. There's a reason why you're a leader. Ask that team member, is everything okay? You seem a bit distant, and I'm sure that will lead into another conversation. One thing you need to understand is leadership is actually part of people care. The 5th one, create a psychological safety. Say things like, mistakes are part of growth, not shouting or telling people off in front of other colleagues. I'm sure that will resonate with some people. Things you can say is, appreciate your honesty. It's okay not to know everything. These tell people that they are safe where they are. They are safe within a team. Now, why emotional intelligence is the leadership skills you can't ignore. Let's be real. Emotional intelligence isn't just nice to have. It's non-negotiable. If you want to build trust, retain great people, handle conflict gracefully, inspire real loyalty, create a culture where people strive, not just survive. You can lead with strategy. Yes, you can, but without emotional intelligence. Now, here's a statement I came across. When leadership loses its soul, it stops serving and starts controlling. I'll repeat that again. When leadership loses its soul, it stops serving and starts controlling. Now, let's pause here and reflect. Here's a question for you. Think of someone who made you feel seen, heard, and supported at work or in your life, who led you with empathy and not ego. Are you thinking? Or you've thought of it? Now, ask yourself, are you becoming that person or the one you ran away from? I know that one hits, right? But don't worry. That's why we're here. To grow, to lead better, and to lead with heart. So here's my advice to every emerging leaders listening. Don't copy broken leadership just because it's all you've seen. Be the one who chooses compassion and courage, results and relationship, direction and empathy. You are allowed to be human and a leader. In fact, that's exactly what people need. So on that note, we've come to the end of another episode of Shola's Mentorship Blueprint Podcast. Thank you for sharing this time with me today. I hope this episode reminded you that leadership isn't just about titles or tasks. It's about emotional intelligence. And if you found yourself nodding, smiling, or reflecting today, kindly like, comment, subscribe, and share this episode with someone you know is ready to lead differently. Until then, I'll let you guess what next week's episode it's all about. But I can assure you won't want to miss it. Until then, stay kind, stay grounded, and lead with emotional intelligence. Because the best leaders just don't manage people, they understand them. Bye for now.